Hey, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about webinars. Specifically, do you need to have your camera on or can you just use slides? We're going to talk about all of it and how to get the best results out of your webinars. Firstly, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Penberthy. I'm the founder of AdClients.com, where we help you create, launch, and scale your online courses and your coaching programs, and I'm pleased you're here. Listen, it is no surprise that I friggin' love webinars. I've tested so many different sales funnels, so many different sales processes, and every single time a webinar wins. And I think that's because what I sell and what my clients sell are usually higher ticket stuff. It's training courses that are $1,000 plus. It's high ticket coaching programs that's, multi four figures, if not 5-figure packages. And you have to have a sales funnel that matches the price point that you're selling at. And a webinar is that perfect vehicle. So webinars are great. I've made over $10 million online using webinars. And the chances are you're here right now because you know that too. Maybe you sell a course, a coaching program, a service, your expertise in any capacity, and you have felt like you've dialed this in. You at least know that your focus should be on webinars and you want to block out every other distraction, but now you have some questions. You have some questions about how you should put your webinars together, the presentation, the slides. How do you record it? Do you automate it? Do you do it live? There are loads of questions, and in fact, many of those we answer right here on the channel. You can go to our channel, search for the keyword webinars. You'll see that we've got a bunch of stuff. But in today's video, I want to specifically talk about recording the webinar, and do we need to present like this? Do we need to just have our little webcam in the bottom right-hand corner? Do we need to have no webcam on and just talk over slides? Are there pros and cons? Let's talk about all of that so that you feel fully equipped to go ahead and record a great presentation ready to grow your business. So in answering this question, I want to take you back first a few years. When I first started doing webinars, I just assumed that I needed to be seen. I thought there's no way that if I just talk over some slides with just my voice and no visual other than the slides, there's no way that's going to work. Like, someone's going to need to connect with me, see me, that's going to build some trust. And so I assumed and therefore naturally started to do my webinars with my little webcam, always there in the bottom right-hand corner. I had to make sure I'm looking okay, I'm dressed up, got a nice background, I'm having to put some thought into all of that stuff. And that's how I did it. For about 2 or 3 years, I kept doing it with that little webcam in the bottom right-hand corner. Then I took it a step further. Our company started growing. We went from doing $1 million a year to then doing $2 million a year and now doing $4 million a year. Everything started to grow. Our ability to, up the production grew. Now we have this amazing studio. And so then we decided, well, let's start doing webinars through the fancy pants camera. So then I still had slides, but then I would go through a camera like this, where we're doing it all fancy like. And again, those webinars were working. There was nothing wrong, but I was never doing a side-by-side comparison. I never tested, do I need to be doing this? Again, it was just an assumption. It was an assumption that I need to be seen, and therefore when we upped the production, it was just an assumption that, well, if I do a webinar now where the visual part, where they see me, is high value and high production, that's going to work as well. And again, it didn't not work, it was working, but I never did that side-by-side comparison. And I decided to do it back in 2019. Back in 2019, I said to my team, I want to know once and for all, which is the best way to do a webinar, okay? Do we need to be on camera or don't we? I want us to do a side-by-side comparison. And I'll tell you what really spurred me on to do this test. Not least because we like testing things and we test things all the time, but it was more because we had a lot of clients coming through now that were doing webinars. And if they didn't need to be doing a webinar with their camera on, because of course my clients are going to be modeling me, then I wanted to make it easier for them. So I wanted to know once and for all, do they need to be doing webinars with their camera on, or can they get great results without? And I wanted to lead from the front and test it myself with my own advertising dollars, and so we did just that. And I'll tell you how we did the fairest test I've ever done. I got Pete, he was behind the camera. We shot an entire webinar where I was standing in front of the camera talking, and I had my slides on a TV behind me. So the production quality was super high. I'm going through my slides. I've got slides the whole time, but I'm here in the fancy studio. I'm talking to the camera. They get to see me, see my mouth moving. It's all going on, okay? But then what we did is we took that, and I say we, I had no idea how he did it. Pete did it. We took that recording and we edited it in such a way that we took the audio and we just overlaid slides. So now we had two versions of the same video file. One of them was me in the studio with the slides on the TV. The other one was as if I was just talking over slides. Same audio, you never saw me, you just see the slides. So now we have these two side by side, but it's the fairest test ever because it's the exact same presentation, nothing changed outside of that. So we ran some traffic, a considerable amount of traffic, many thousands of dollars to get people into these webinars to test side by side what's the result. You know what was really interesting? They both performed around about the same. I can't remember the exact numbers because obviously it was a couple of years ago, but I remember we were all surprised around the office when we looked at the numbers and we sent a bunch of traffic through both versions, and the sales out the other end, the ROI out the other end was basically identical. So I learned something very important that day. I learned that you don't need to be on camera. You can just talk over slides. But what I would argue is really important is if you're gonna just be talking over slides, you've got to be charismatic. You have to present well with just your voice. Because if you're only using slides and then you are boring as heck, okay? The way you say things is so boring, then you are gonna lose your audience, all right? But if you can at least present well, if you can use a bit of tonality, if you don't ramble, if you don't repeat, if you just make sure you're flowing well, you do not need to be on camera. You can get great results just talking over slides. And furthermore, to that point, I now default to recording my webinars just voice over slides. On occasion, if I'm doing a big event for my audience, like actually funny enough, we just did a webinar last night. We had 700 people live on a webinar, okay? Well, for an event like that, I like sometimes using the fancy camera and making it feel special, and it's like a one-time event. But if I'm recording a version of my webinar that I fully intend to just automate and have that funnel running, then I don't do the fancy stuff. I don't have my webcam on. I just do voice over slides. And there's a very important reason for this, and you should write this down. Make a note of this so you remember when you record yours. If I ever need to go and edit just a small piece of my webinar, even the tiniest little piece, if I've been on the webcam, if I've been on camera, then to change one little thing, I've got to re-record the whole thing. Why? Because I can't just edit out a little piece. I'm gonna look different on the webcam. I'm gonna have different clothes on. Even if I put the same clothes on, my hair's gonna look different, the background, I'm never gonna get it exactly right. So it's gonna be obvious when there's an edit in that recording, make sense? Whereas if I have recorded just voice over slides, now if I need to edit out a small piece, I have the ability to do that. I can make sure I'm in the same room with the same headset, so it sounds the same, and I can re-record the tiny little bit, we can edit it together, and now I've got that change, and it's not noticeable, and I can make changes as much or as little as I want. So that's a huge benefit to having the camera off, and that's the reason why right now I do that most of the time. So that answers the question. And hopefully that's helpful for you when you're recording your webinars, slides, talking over slides, absolutely fine. Hopefully you found this helpful. Give me a thumbs up on this video if you did. Drop me a comment. We look through all of your questions. And if you want to learn more about this webinar stuff, then you can go and search our channel. We've got a bunch of videos on the topic. In fact, if you're ready to get serious about your webinar and actually get it built properly with a team of people that know how to do this and we can guide you all the way, you may want to inquire about becoming a client with us over here at AdClients. Go ahead and click the link in the description box in the top comment. That'll take you to a page with a bit of information about who we are, what we do, how we can help. You can even go to AdClients.com and you can hear about us on that site as well. So go ahead and inquire if you're interested in getting our help in doing that, and make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notification. We put out a couple new videos every single week, and I'll see you again very, very soon.